Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 33B, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Thursday, December 1st, 2022, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business ahead of the December recess. Honorable Speaker, again, this is just a motion to have a sitting. Members are aware that we usually don't have sittings on Thursday, but considering that Thursday, in line with our calendar, is the last day of sitting for this session, Honorable Speaker, and bearing in mind that you have just given us a communication on the lifting of the vetting of PSs, Honorable Speaker, we envisage that we should be able to finish some of that priority business to approve PSs, hopefully by Thursday morning, to have the report board on Thursday, and therefore want to ask members that we do support to have this sitting on Thursday so that we are able to conclude all business before us by Thursday and or close of business on Thursday. And members, you remember there are about 51 PSs, so it may take a long time to approve all those names. Already about 22 committees have finished their reports and are ready for tabling, so that process may take quite a bit of time, and the afternoon session may not be enough. With that, I want to ask the Honorable Joses to second.
Yes, member for Mgwen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On that issue, because it's of importance to the nation, I second.
There being no interest in debating this. Oh, sorry, members. I propose a question that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 33B, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Thursday, December 1, 2022, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business ahead of the December recess. I'll give Monday and one other, then we put the
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ordinarily, we would not have a problem with procedural motions like this. We would support extra sittings. But, Mr. Speaker, when you call for an extra sitting, the leader of majority should give us the business that should be transacted on that particular sitting. And, Mr. Speaker, what I've heard from the majority leader is an anticipatory motion, something that has not even been concluded by committees, Mr. Speaker. How sure are we that committees are going to conclude the vetting of PSS to be able to agree on a sitting on Thursday morning? We have previously held special sittings. So, Mr. Speaker, for us not to appear like a house that rubber stamps what the executive has sent, let us give the committees time to finish their work, and if majority leader feels that we are pressed of time, there can be a special sitting. These members are ready to come. In fact, we have held meetings here before, Mr. Speaker, on days that I would call ungodly. 24th of December, Mr. Speaker. 18th of December 2014, we were called back here to hold a special sitting to approve security laws amendment bill. And, Mr. Speaker, that is not a day you can forget. It was a very bad day, Mr. Speaker.
Indeed, that's the day you assaulted me.
Yes. That's the day I actually saved you, Mr. Speaker, from being assaulted. Actually, I came to Speaker's rescue when he was being assaulted.
You saved me from being
I
assaulted.
actually literally saved the Speaker from being thrown
Kuna.
down. Today, we would not be having our Speaker here.
Yes.
And, Mr. You are not informing me. Everything you are saying, I know. Actually, even the amendments to the Political Parties Act, the elections laws, we did in December, ungodly days. So we can still come back here, Mr. Speaker, and approve PSS. We know this country needs to move forward. We need to have PSS in office as the accounting officers, new ones. What is this out of order? You know, Kimani Ichungwah, you just want to...
Yes.
You know, Honorable Speaker, we must be careful the words we use, because the Honorable Mbadi has thrice used the word ungodly days. And I don't know what days are ungodly, But Honorable Speaker, maybe also just to mention that it is precisely the reason why we want this godly day of Thursday morning to have a sitting. So to avoid the temptation of using the ungodly days as you describe them. But maybe just for information to the members of the public, there is no day that is ungodly.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, my usage of the word is very deliberate. There are still many what I consider godly days beyond Thursday, which you can still use. But the ungodly days, when you interfere with the work of God, you are behaving ungodly. I know you are not a very good Christian, so I'm trying to educate you. When anything you do that is not furthering the interest of being a Christian is ungodly. So if you are coming here just a few hours before Jesus is born and you are forcing people to work, you are behaving ungodly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to oppose this motion.
Honorable Kajwang. Honorable Kajwang. TJ.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, ordinarily, this kind of motions should not receive a lot of loud opposition. But the point I think we are pursuing here is that this is a house of record and procedure and decorum. A question of disclosure is very important to members so that we debate from a point of knowledge and from the point that no member moving a motion will keep certain material facts away from members who would wish to vote one way or the other in a motion before them. The Speaker, serving here, I think you are the octogenarian of this House. I'm sure you are serving your 6th term, so to speak. And you are a veteran in these matters. Going back to your legal practice, again, you are the octogenarian. I see a lot of lawyers in the House, but you are the senior most lawyer, as I know, in this House. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you would wish that your legacy is remembered that you did business which conformed to the law of the House and the Constitution. A matter such as this is very noble, but it is important that the majority leader who has moved this motion discloses the kind of motions instead of anticipating debate, again, something which goes against the standing orders. I listened to the member who seconded the motion. All he said was that because this is a very important issue, it should be supported. I think this is also the learning curve that some of distinguished members who are coming for the first time would wish to know what are some of the ingredients of what a member would propose. You know, this issue of point of orders nowadays, I don't understand. Everything is point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know,
even when nothing is out of order.
You know, the Honorable TJ Kajwang is my very good friend. And he knows I have a lot of respect for him. So he should not get angry with me for rising on a point of order. Just to let you know, Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the Honorable TJ Kajwang to have missed the House Business Committee in which we discussed some of these issues? If in fact, if he was in the House Business Committee, he would have known the urgent matters that are likely to come on that Thursday morning. In fact, he would not be belaboring this point. In fact, Mr. Speaker, he would have supported it. In fact, I can see he's belaboring this point under some, I don't want to say delusion, Mr. Speaker, under some strange lack of information. And I just want to appeal to him that we discuss, you know, of course, when I sit there on the TJ Kajwang, you know, and we were good members of the JLAC. And you know, we don't intend to mislead you in any way. We actually have serious business on Thursday. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, my learned friend, I long for the days we served in JLAC. Unfortunately, this is not what I am seeing happening. But he knows very well that I am quite in order, that those are committees. House business is just a committee, like a members committee. And the fact that a member did not attend a meeting does not preclude one from making remarks in this House. Mr. Speaker, my point has been made, really. Yes, yeah. My point is this, that could the member We want to vote, and we want to support this. Is it possible that the member would be given more time, the majority leader, to inform the House of details of this information so that we vote by conscience, we vote by information? I think that, Mr. Speaker, you would wish that when we read the Hansard, you would have presided over a House that keeps law and procedure. Thank you.
I see no further interest. Let me put the question, which is that pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 33B, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Thursday, December 1, 2022, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business ahead of the December recess. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. As members of the contrary opinion say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. Next order. Next order.
Order number 11, the County Government's Additional Allocations number 2 Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2022, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the additional allocations to county governments for the 2022-2023 financial year, the responsibilities of national government and county governments pursuant to such allocation and for connected purposes. Order number 12, motion, consideration of the Public Finance Management Financial Inclusion Fund Regulations 2022.
Chair delegated.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I move that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Public Finance Management Financial Inclusion Fund Regulations 2022 laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, November 29, 2022, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 24, subsection 4 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, approves the Public Finance Management Financial Inclusion Fund Regulation 2022, published as legal notice number 213 of 23rd November 2022. Madam, oh, there has been a change of chairs. So, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, these are very important regulation, as you may be aware, that this government made a deliberate pronouncement that it intends to support those at the bottom of the pyramid, Madam Speaker, the so-called the bottom up, those who are called the hustlers. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, you know, the word hustler has not been properly interpreted or given translation in the English dictionary. So what these financial regulations have used is inclusiveness. And the objectives of these regulations, Madam Speaker, is to ensure innovation, development, and deployment of the bottom of the pyramid financial services and products that are affordable, accessible, and appropriate for the unserved and underserved persons, Madam Speaker. This would be done through credits, savings, insurance, and investment products that will promote inclusion through expanding access to credit by persons in the medium and small enterprises, Madam Speaker, and also to promote market intervention to improve supply of affordable credit to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, including credit worthiness-based lending and risk pricing, business and financial management skills, and cost of doing business. Madam Speaker, the committee had the occasion to have a sitting with the Minister for Cooperatives and Medium and Small Enterprises on Thursday, when we participated in considering the draft regulations that had been forwarded to Parliament. Madam Speaker, this was a very comprehensive process in which we were taken through the process in which these particular regulations were developed. The regulations were developed through public participation, in which the ministries of Finance and Ministry of Cooperatives conducted public participation right across this country. And it brought together persons in government, persons in the MSMEs. It brought together the governors, the CECs in the county governments, government officials at national and county level. It brought together borders, housing, dairy, cotton, and handicraft, coffee, matatu transporters, SACCOs, cooperatives, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, officials from the marketing management committees and county trade staff, community-based organization, the so-called CBOs, civil society, and faith-based organization. All the key stakeholders, Madam Speaker, were consulted through physical meetings and submission of memoranda in compliance with the Statutory Instruments Act of 2021. Madam Speaker, as a result of those consultations that we held in considering the draft regulations that were forwarded to the committee, we made very serious amendments to those regulations that included, Madam Speaker, the process of removal of those officials that have been appointed, that will be appointed pursuant to this regulation. The other one, Madam Speaker, that we asked them to include were the products that they intend to roll out with regard to these regulations. They had told us that products are not included because they wanted to maintain some flexibility. We told them that according to the Statutory Instruments Act, it has to be clear, it should not require a lot of elucidation, and so we told them that those products must all be provided in the regulations. And we're happy to note, Madam Speaker, that all the comments that were made by the committee members at the meeting that was held on the 24th of November at Hilton Hotel in Machakos were all considered, Madam Speaker. And as a result of that, these regulations were published on Monday, yesterday, and forwarded to this committee, forwarded to the Committee on Delegation, Madam Speaker. We considered these regulations today, went through, checked whether those amendments were made, and we are satisfied that the amendments were carried and they were all included in the regulations, and it complies with the Statutory Instruments Act of 2013 and also the Public Finance Management Act of 2015, as well as the Constitution. Madam Speaker, the authority to make this regulation is granted pursuant to the Public Finance Management Act of 2013 that stipulates that the minister shall make regulations to provide for good financial management of anything that exceeds 10 million shillings that is provided as a regulation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have had so many things that have been said about the ASLA fund. It's been said that it's going to attract a single-digit interest. It is true, Madam Speaker, and we were informed that the reason why it is a single digit is to ensure that we provide for administrative costs for those people who will be managing the funds that will be allocated to this particular fund, Madam Speaker. And we were told that, and which we agree, that if we do not provide for interest to be charged on what is going to be lent, it's a small amount, Madam Speaker. It's about 8% that will be shared between all the actors who will be managing this fund. And we have very many banks who will be participating in giving out these monies, and it is just purely to cover their cost of providing this service, and also to pay for employees who will be employed by the fund. We were informed, Madam Speaker, that if we don't provide so, it means that the cost will eat into the capital, and it will therefore reduce the amount of the money that has been allocated into this fund. And what that means, Madam Speaker, is that it will then reduce the capital, and over time, it may even disappear because of the cost overrun in that particular fund. And also, the money will not be available for other Kenyans to borrow. The intention is to safeguard the funds that have been allocated to these funds to ensure that other Kenyans who have not borrowed, and those Kenyans who have borrowed, they refund the money, and others are able to benefit, Madam Speaker. And so, the regulations are fairly straightforward. It is beneficial to our members in our constituency, and many Kenyans are looking forward to borrowing this money, particularly the mamambogas, the border-borders that are in Honorable Junet's constituency, who are borrowing from 500 shillings to 50,000 shillings. This will be the first phase. The second phase, Madam Speaker, we are informed of to roll out the second phase of between 250,000 and 250,000 will be done in the month of February, and the new regulations would be brought to cover that particular fund. So this is intended to give the lower stratum of the society, the so-called bottom-up, Madam Speaker. These are people who are buying vegetables from the market, they go and sell, instead of borrowing money, which they do at the moment, where they borrow 100 shillings or 1,000 shillings, and at the end of the day, they must pay back with 100 shillings. So what that means, Madam Speaker, is that they are paying 100% interest on the money that they have borrowed of 1,000. And so this fund, it is 8% interest over a period of 1 year. So if you divide by 365, it will be 0.001. That will be the cost. That will be the cost. In fact, Honorable Junet is very happy that that is going to be the cost of running that fund. And so, Madam Speaker, I'd like to assure you that, and assure this House, that the regulations are very consistent with the Substantive Act, the Constitution, and on behalf of the members of the Select Committee on Delegated Legislation, and pursuant to Standing Order 210-4B, it is my pleasure and duty to present to the House the committee's report on the consideration of the Public Finance Management Financial Inclusion Fund Regulation 2022 with legal notice number 213 of 2022. I therefore move, Madam Speaker, and I would like to request the Majority Leader, without being interfered by the Honorable Kamket, who should come and sit next to me, I can continue the discussion from there. The Honorable Speaker, I would like to call upon the Majority Leader to second.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I rise to second these regulations, Honorable Speaker, and take this opportunity to thank the committee under the able leadership of the Honorable Chepkonga on the consideration of these regulations, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we are seeking approval of these regulations, Honorable Speaker, to address one of the issues that, Honorable Speaker, have made our economy almost grind to a halt: access to credit. Honorable Speaker, these regulations are not just talking about access to credit, but they are speaking to inclusion of segments of our population and our economy who are left out of the credit system in this country, Honorable Speaker, and especially the unwaged population, Honorable Speaker, who cannot access credit. And those are the people the chair has referred to, the mamambogas, the border-borders, kiosk owners, and all manner of entrepreneurs, including, Honorable Speaker, people who are jobless, people who organize themselves in chamas and merry-go-rounds, Honorable Speaker, and basically have no access to any manner of formal credit. And the only credit that you could access to, Honorable Speaker, is when you either Fuliza or M-Shwari on your phone and pay very exorbitant interest rates, Honorable Speaker. And it is indeed true, Honorable Speaker, that looking at the regulations provide for an interest. And it is important, Honorable Speaker, because a lot of naysayers have spoken to the issue of interest. And Honorable Speaker, many of the people who have spoken to the question of interest are people who never interrogated or engaged with the Kenya Kwanza team as the Kenya Kwanza team engaged with Kenyans across the country. In almost all the 47 counties, I think it's only 3 counties that we are not able to physically attend economic forum meetings where we engage with mama mbogas, we engage with people who are not able to access credit. And you could listen to harrowing stories of how people are accessing credit from Shylocks, from the mobile money transfer companies that were offering credit at very exorbitant rates, Honorable Speaker. And people will tell you, Honorable Speaker, that they're accessing credit that they are paying up to 3,000% per annum. And because of desperation, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans had no choice but to access that expensive credit, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, this Financial Inclusion Fund, Honorable Speaker, comes to address some of those issues that Kenyans spoke to us as we sought their votes last time. And I was saying, Honorable Speaker, many of the naysayers never even bothered to read the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. And you will hear many of them loudly say that they promised no interest. They promised a hustler fund. This is a hustler fund. This Financial Inclusion Fund is the hustler fund. When we said access to affordable credit, it never meant no interest or no management fee. And therefore, I want to speak to the naysayers because I know some of them could also be listening to me. Some of them could also be in this house, Honorable Speaker, to tell them to please
Honorable Millie,
just take their time.
Heard in silence.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for protecting me from the Honorable Millie. I know she may not have read the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. And maybe when I say some of the naysayers could be seated here and listening to me, maybe I was right. That, and I want to invite them to interrogate and to read our Kenya Kwanza Manifesto and see that indeed we spoke to the issue of access to credit and affordable credit. And that affordable credit is what now is being offered to the people of Kenya through this Financial Inclusion Fund. At an interest rate, Honorable Speaker, if you look at Regulation 22, it provides for a rate of interest or administrative fee that is payable by a maximum rate of 8% per annum. It is 8% per year. You borrow 100,000 shillings, you only pay 8,000 shillings for the year. So, Honorable Junet, if your calculator is near you, you can calculate how much that is, because I had you doubt when the chair spoke of 0.000 something per day. But Kenyans have been paying not an interest rate of 8% per annum, they have been paying an interest rate of 10% per day, and they have been accessing credit at that rate. We are therefore giving an opportunity to residents of Suna East, residents of Suba North and Suba South, residents of Kikuyu, residents of Emuhaya, and all Kenyans, including Tiati, who are very good people rearing livestock, to be able to access credit at a very affordable rate, Honorable Speaker, and more so even to give our financial institutions, many of our financial institutions that are not formal, Honorable Speaker, like the merry-go-rounds, the chamas, Honorable Speaker, are getting an opportunity now to, in a very formal way, get included in a financial fund that will allow them have access to funds that they can then on-lend, including our SACCOs, Honorable Speaker, on-lend to members of the public and be able to take our economy, as we said, from the bottom up. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, these regulations, as the chair has pointed out, have been taken through public participation. I must commend the National Treasury. For once, the National Treasury did go out of their way, other than doing the normal public participation they do at KICC. This time round, they took these regulations to many of our counties and listened to people. And I must take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to commend the National Treasury for having appreciated the role that public plays in engaging with them because it is out of the engagement with the members of the public and institutions that they are able to polish up some of these regulations and even do better than had envisaged, Honorable Speaker, as they formulated these policies. Honorable Speaker, the regulations also provide for a matching concept, Honorable Speaker, to this fund, that a financial institution like a bank that could have funds, or probably even a non-government organization that, because there are NGOs that advance credit, and if you have funds that you can match to this fund, you get part of this fund and match. But there is a right, Honorable Speaker, that the interest that you charge must be lower than that is being offered by the fund. And that, Honorable Speaker, gives an opportunity for people to be able to access credit at even cheaper rates. And I'm glad, Honorable Speaker, because a number of our development partners have expressed interest to also provide funds to supplement what government will be able to do and what other donors will give to ensure that we financially include all our people. Honorable Speaker, part of the reason why our economy is where it is today is because people have no access to credit, and when they access credit, it is very expensive credit that then makes their businesses make no sense, and within a very short time, businesses collapse. Honorable Speaker, let me speak to the Hustler Nation and tell them that the Hustler Fund that we have been waiting for is here. Honorable Speaker, upon approval of these regulations, Honorable Speaker, we also encourage Kenyans through this fund. The fund is not just about advancing credit. The fund has components that includes loans, it includes pension, retirement benefits for the people who are involved in this scheme. It has a health insurance benefit and also a savings element, Honorable Speaker, that at least out of the amount of money that you get, 95% could go to your loan, but at least 5% of the money you get goes into your savings. And Honorable Speaker, I think even when His Excellency the President opened this session of Parliament, during the state opening of Parliament, he did in a great way speak to the issue of developing a culture of savings. And I must commend the National Treasury, since as they formulated these regulations, they have incorporated the element of savings. Because, Honorable Speaker, we cannot invest unless we save. If we live with a country where people just borrow without saving, it means perpetually they will be borrowing. But where people borrow and save, Honorable Speaker, it is said in economics, Honorable Speaker, and those of us who are students of economics, that indeed investments are a function of savings. And a nation that is saving, a nation that is increasing its savings, is a nation that is moving in the right direction. Therefore, we are not just moving this nation in the right direction and ensuring that people are saving for investments in future, and even for national investments, Honorable Speaker. We are also encouraging Kenyans to get access to cheap and affordable credit. We are also encouraging Kenyans to save for their future use in terms of retirement benefits and pension schemes, Honorable Speaker, besides health insurance benefits that will come with this fund, Honorable Speaker, as part of the products that come with this fund. Therefore, it's not just a fund that is as simple as many naysayers again would want to speak to, that this was just a fund for hustlers. This is a fund for financial inclusion of all Kenyans. Whether you regard yourself as a hustler, whether you regard yourself as anything else other than a hustler, Honorable Speaker, this is a fund that speaks to you, because it speaks to your savings, it speaks to your retirement benefits, it speaks to health cover benefits, Honorable Speaker, and also access to credit, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, the magic or the silver lining and the magic card that we need to uplift our economy from where it was left by the last regime, Honorable Speaker, is to actualize this hustler fund to be able to give money to people who are entrepreneurs, people who will be able to, in future, Honorable Speaker, and very soon, become taxpayers, expand our tax bracket, Honorable Speaker, and be able to do what the Honorable Kibaki taught us, to jitegemea, when he said that kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. Honorable Speaker, the surest way to end the cycle of borrowing by government is to ensure that we make sure that all our people have access to funds that are affordable to them, funds that they can borrow, utilize for business, make profits, and pay taxes out of those profits. and those taxes, then we'll be able to offer the same services, goods and services that we envisage to get from our government, Honorable Speaker. And with that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second this motion and ask members to support the passage of these regulations, because they are indeed critical for our economy and the financial inclusion of those who have been excluded in the past. There are those, Honorable Speaker, who believed that financial inclusion should only be for those with means. It is our contention, Honorable Speaker, that everybody has the capacity to model himself or herself into an entrepreneur, including not just mama mbogas, even our house managers at home, our mothers, our sisters, and even some fathers and brothers who are unemployed, but they come together in chamas and merry-go-rounds in our constituencies. They are fishermen who fish and market their fish collectively by the shores of lakes and rivers where they are fishing, and they form simple chamas and lend each other money, Honorable Speaker, and we are telling them that now they have an opportunity to be included in a formal fund where they will be able to access formal credit, and in a manner that they will not be asked for a logbook, a title deed, or any manner of security. Very soon, Honorable Speaker, we'll be graduating many of our young entrepreneurs and young hustlers into seasoned entrepreneurs who can then access even large amounts of money in the banking sector. With that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Very well. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Public Finance Management Financial Inclusion Fund Regulations 2022, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, November 29, 2022, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 24(4) of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, approves the Public Finance Management Financial Inclusion Fund Regulations 2022, published as legal notice number 213 of 23rd November 2022. Honorable members, there is a lot of interest in this, and I will give the first opportunity to the minority whip, the Honorable Junet Mohammed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to these regulations, the approval of this. Honorable Speaker, first I stand to oppose the approval of these regulations. Madam Speaker, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Madam Speaker, in 2013, we were in this parliament when the Jubilee regime came to power. And they brought here a fund called Uwezo Fund, Madam Speaker. And we passed the regulations here. Madam Speaker, if you go to the website of that Uwezo Fund, it even uses the words of bottom-up fund. It is fund meant for bottom-up purposes. Madam Speaker, that fund was taken to the constituencies. And that fund was interest-free. Kenyans were supposed to start their businesses using that Uwezo Fund. And they were told, just repay the principal amount. There is no loan, there is no interest that you will pay on top of it. Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, 8 billion shillings was appropriated. I don't know how much. I'm told less than 4 million shillings have been returned back, have been repaid back. Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, if Kenyans are unable to pay back monies that they have been given to do business, and they could not return it back because of interest, how will they repay back loans, Madam Speaker, with 8% interest? Madam Speaker, let's be honest to each other. What this Kenya Kwanza regime is doing, they are just creating another Fuliza, government Fuliza fund. The same Fuliza that Kenyans have suffered under. You will see very soon that Kenyans will receive money in their telephones, 20,000, 30,000 from Hustler Fund. You will see Kenya is now changing again funds because of government Fuliza now. Before it was Bank Fuliza, now it's government Fuliza now, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, how can we allow this to happen? Secondly, with the rate of inflation that you are seeing in this country today, almost double-digit inclusion, then you are saying the highest amount somebody can borrow from the Hustler Fund is 50,000 shillings. Madam Speaker, what business can you do with 50,000 today? One crate of Mamamboga's, this thing is called what? Tomatoes, is almost over 10,000 shillings, Madam Speaker. Border people, Madam Speaker, give me time to, so they have their say, Madam Speaker. I know they are very light skin for criticism, but I want to tell them this fraud called Hustler, we will not allow it on Parliament, Madam Speaker. This Hustler fraud, this is not Hustler Fund, this is Hustler fraud.
Honorable Junet, I'll give you a chance to complete your debate, but I would like to give a chance to the chair. No, your time is not over. The Honorable Chair for Delegated Legislation, what is out of order?
Yeah, is it in order, Madam? I rise pursuant to Standing Order 1, and in particular the one that deals with accuracy of information. Madam Speaker, is it in order for the Honorable Junet to allege that these regulations are fraudulent when he knows that the regulations have been made consistent with the Public Finance Management Act and the Constitution itself? So, and these are laws that have been passed in this House, Madam Speaker. When you claim that it is fraud to give money, which is so much, I was in my constituency over the weekend, Madam Speaker, and I met a lady. I had gone for a funeral fundraising, and I met a lady who told me our M-Pesa
without
float,
going to the
our M-Pesa float
just
is
tell me
50,000,
what is out
and
of
that she
order,
was
Honorable
making
Chepkonga. The Honorable Junet, you may proceed with debate.
Honorable Speaker, the chair, whom I respect so much, had his time for moving his motion on the regulations. So he just feeling he wants to have another bite because of the issues I'm raising. Unfortunately, you have just finished your time. So, Chair, and the majority
Honorable
leader...
Junet, just proceed, because
Madam Chair,
that was just a point of argument. So please proceed.
Chair, the issue I'm raising is that we are discussing here issues of financial inclusion, Madam Chair. This fund that is being proposed through this regulation, Madam Chair, cannot...
What is out of order, Honorable?
Cannot have financial, cannot do even an...
I will disturb you again, Honorable Junet, because I have a point of order from the Leader of Majority. What is out of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I also rise on Standing Order 81, because Honorable Chair, the Honorable Junet seems irritated on interruptions, but I want to encourage him, if he not to invite interruptions, Honorable Speaker, because on statement of fact, the regulations, Honorable Speaker, that we are debating, the Honorable Junet just got a copy of the committee's report from the desk here. And I am certain he might not have read, because had he read, I would really prevail on him to point out to the country, because you are addressing the country. When you say that this fund is limited to a maximum of 50,000 shillings, which is not factual and is not true. And Honorable Speaker, now, Honorable Speaker, you can hear what the Honorable Junet is saying. He is alluding to people. We are discussing what is before the House, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, there is nothing in the regulations that limit this financial inclusion fund to 50,000 shillings. And Honorable Speaker, the product, when launched, Kenyans should be patient, and the Honorable Junet should also be patient enough to wait for all the products to be launched, Honorable Speaker, because you'll be able to borrow from as little as you can up to the maximum you're able to repay.
Honorable Majority Leader, you've made your point, but I would like to say that you made reference to Standing Order number 81, and I would like to read it for record. No member shall speak to any question after the same has been put by the Speaker. So I think you made a mistake on the Standing Order, and for that reason, the Honorable Junet proceeds, and I'm not going to interrupt you again.
Madam Honorable Speaker.
I believe that you are misled by the Honorable Chepkonga.
Honorable Speaker, no,
The Honorable Junet proceeds with the debate.
the ones who are disrupting.
You proceed with debate, and you are not going to be disturbed.
Madam
Just
Chair,
proceed.
Honorable Chair, it is for a fact, and it's the public domain, that none other than the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, said that this fund maximum is 50,000 shillings. It's on record. And he said much of this money will go to women, not even men. But anyway, Madam Speaker, the question I'm asking is, if you are to help, for example, the border people in this country, one border today is costing 120,000 shillings in the shops that sell borders. And you want to give a border guy 50,000 shillings only. Where is he going to get the border from? How are you going to remove him from the poverty that you said you will remove him from? Because if he's paying the 50,000 you are giving him with interest, and he has a loan there, and then he has to look for another 70,000 shillings to buy the border, and then he has to borrow also 70,000 from somewhere and pay with it interest. This is making lives of the hustlers even more difficult than the way they found it, Madam Speaker, before elections. Madam Speaker, we have so many funds in this country. We have the youth fund, we have the women fund, we have the GAV fund, we have CDF fund, we have WEZO fund. What is the point of creating a fund just in the name of your campaign slogan, in the name of hustle, when you know very well that the youth fund is there to help the youth, the WEZO fund is there to help business people, the women fund is there. Why don't you strengthen those funds? Why can't you put more money in those funds and make them interest-free, Madam Speaker? Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as the minority, we will not accept Kenyans to be hoodwinked. We will not accept Kenyans to be lied to. I want to tell Kenyans from the floor of this House that that fund is not going to change their lives. I can guarantee you, because how can you get a loan with interest of 8%, Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, and you are a hustler? Will you be paying the interest or will you be paying the principal? They were told during the campaigns that we are going to put 50 billion shillings in the budget that is going to help, going to change their lives, and they're going to be given for free. It's on record, Madam Speaker. That is the money that the hustlers were expecting. That is the money that the hustlers were waiting for until things changed. Madam Speaker, this is a classical example of how politicians lie to Kenyans. They tell you all manner of things. Me, the only money that I was sure that will not be Kenyans will not be lied to is the 6,000 shillings Baba promised to every Kenyan. That one I was sure, because 6,000 is affordable. Every family will have gotten their 6,000. But this one, Madam Speaker, of telling you that we are going to give you money to do business, to change your life, to make things better for you, and then you turn around and you say, no, it's a loan. You must pay back with interest of 8%. There are cooperative societies that are lending at 8% in this country today, even lower than that. Why should I go to Asla Fund? And then they said there are penalties. If you default in paying this loan, there are penalties, there are punishments, your things will be sold, your sofrias will be collected from your house, your mattresses will be auctioned, your beds will be auctioned, Madam Speaker. Do you want to put Kenyans in that kind of situation, Madam Speaker? That's what loan means. If you default in a loan, that means everything you own will be auctioned, Madam Speaker. It's a fact. Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, why do you want to auction Kenyans, Madam Speaker? Why don't you give Kenyans even a loan, a fund that has an interest of even 1% if you're serious about helping Kenyans? Why can't you make the interest 1% if you want to change the lives of Kenyans, Madam Speaker? Why 8%? In the first place, Kenyans were expecting free money. They were expecting monies that they can be used, that they can be given so that they can improve their lives. But now we have decided to say it's money that's supposed to be repaid with interest. Why can't you reduce the interest to 1% then if you're serious about helping Kenyans? Madam Speaker, this one is one of the things that is going to finish Kenya Kwanza before even 2027. This is one of the biggest fraud that is happening in our country, Madam Speaker. This is a hustler fraud now. This is not hustler fund. The name is hustler fraud. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I oppose the regulations, and Kenyans must be told the truth before they vote for you. This is the biggest con game that has ever happened after the election.
Members, we proceed. I'll have one person from the left and one from the right. And now we have a chance for the Honorable Ruku, who is a member from Mbeere North.